Cool. Okay, welcome to Talk Tennis. Today, we have one of the cutest crossover couples from the NFL and the WTA, maybe the only. She's a California girl who currently identifies as a doubles specialist on the WTA tour, but can also kick some serious butt in singles, knows a thing or two about football, having gone viral as the QB chick right around the pandemic, showcasing her absolute athleticism and ability to do it all. She played college tennis at USC and has quite a few accolades and has since seen success on the pro tour with a few minor injury snafus and fun stories along the way. Welcome to Talk Tennis, Angela Kulikov.
Happy to be back.
And he is joining us. He stands 6'4" and grew up in Florida, a hotbed for tennis, as we all know, but currently wears number 47 and is the long snapper for the Los Angeles Rams. He played college football for the Knights at Central Florida, but if you happen to see him on a tennis court, you would assume he played tennis at UCF. I'm going to give him the title of current best tennis player on the NFL and simultaneously am challenging anyone out there to take him on. Welcome, Alex Ward.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Fun fact, there is a pro on the ATP tour named Alex Ward. So if you ever want to be like
He's a British guy, right?
Yes.
I think I've looked him up.
That's awesome.
It looks like he is not competing this year. So just say.
There's an A. Kulikova as well, so we'll have to see how those two stack up.
Right? There's some funny names that are very similar out there. But anyways, I wanted to start this episode. Tell me the origin story, how you guys met, because I think it's so cute.
She tells it best.
I tell this one? Well, we're begrudgingly Gen Z social media couple, so... It's cute, actually, because in my world, he just appeared. But I had been in Europe for my first Roland Garros swing. And generally, you're supposed to stick around and play the French and immediately transition to Wimbledon because that turnaround's about 3 weeks. But we talked about this before. I'm a huge homebody. Mm-hmm. So I didn't mind that I was missing out on points, on competition. I said I need to go home for like a week just to reset the batteries before we send me out again. And the issue with that was when I came home, I knew everybody else was still going to be in Europe, which meant there was no one for me to practice with. So I'd never done this before, but I put up a story on my Instagram that just said, is anyone in town able to hit with me this week? And he was the only reply, actually, which says a lot about a lot of things. But he answered and he said, I'm not great, but I'd love to hit with you. And, I had no idea he had followed me. I mean, you can tell it. I think you had found me through our mutual tennis friends a few weeks prior, and I had missed that.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she just popped up on my For You page. I looked at her page. And it said,
literally for you,
player, QB, whatever. And I was like, all right, I'm going to follow this one. And then, shot my shot a little while later and, hit a home run, I guess.
Well, and so if I'm remembering the story, I was going to say, keep going.
She does offer to hit with me. So she drove, where did you drive to?
Yeah. Okay. So us actually meeting, this first date was a hell of an effort on my part because
it was.
I will admit, firstly, I didn't believe he played tennis. That's like a thing a lot of guys do when they see tennis players. Oh, I played tennis too. I'd love to hit with you. And you find out they, played for 2 minutes on their buddy played on the high school team and they had no business being there. He did send me a few photos. I remember early on, and you can tell in a photo how legitimate someone was. And I was surprised, but still, a little dubious about it. But that day, I actually was in Claremont. I drove to Irvine to pick up a friend to drive all the way to Palm Desert.
Oh my God.
Give the times on these drives for our non-California people.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was crazy. I mean, it was about an hour from Claremont to Irvine, 90 minutes Irvine to Palm Desert, maybe more than 90 minutes on the way to drop him off in Irvine, another hour to get back to Claremont, and then about 90 minutes to get to Thousand Oaks. And this is the day before I'm leaving for my first grass court swing too. So this was just an absolutely absurd day. But I promised him I was going to meet up with him before I left. He had been hounding me that entire week. And my only stipulation was we don't play tennis because I do plenty of that. And a note to everyone out there that's pursuing a tennis girl, don't offer to play tennis. Nothing
Yeah,
upsets
but
us more.
she offered. She was like, "I will hit with you if you want me to." I was like, "If I know tennis players, you are tennised out. Like you're traveling, you're playing, you're here, you're playing. Like let's do anything but tennis." And she asked, like, "What are you doing today?" Like without any date. And I was like, "I'm gonna go play golf with the buddies, and there's 3 of us. 4 is a tee time. So if you wanted to come over for that, or I can ditch him and we can do whatever else." She was like, "No, I'll tag along," knowing she's never played golf before in her life, but neither had they. So
wait, you had never played golf before that? Oh my God. Okay. Well, she's
never
like
held
good at
a
everything.
Dabbled in Drive Shack, but
That's crazy, and also bold, and gives you like a good idea of your confidence and personality. You're like, I'll be there. I need to borrow some clubs, but
yeah, and she used my
I
clubs
love
that are
that.
extra heavy and beat my friends.
Yes,
I don't know about that.
heck yes.
I held my own for a few.
It was at least
holes,
competitive.
as I still do.
Yes, my follow-up question is, where am I? Sometimes these episodes go out very soon after we record them, sometimes not. But where are you guys in your prospective seasons right now? Give me like a bit of a snapshot of like what you're up to with your training, and because I've seen you playing some golf, which means we've got a little bit of downtime.
We do.
Yours is more interesting than mine. You go ahead.
I mean, we're in the break between OTAs and camp, so I have like a month off. They let us go on our own to work out on our own, train on our own. So I'm still here in Cali because of that one, and just hanging out, picking up some heavy stuff.
I have so many questions I'm going to be asking you because I kind of know what Angela's world looks like, but your world is like foreign to me. But Angela, give us a snapshot of what's going on with you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I suffered a pretty bad ankle injury at a tournament in Mexico back in March, so I'm still on the mend from that. But my PT is finally progressing to where I'm doing more than just some ankle pumps. I'm starting to jog around a little bit and hop around here and there, but still a long ways to go for me, which is why there is so much exploration in other activities such as golf at the moment. But it's great that Alex's schedule is, I mean, I'm tremendously jealous, and I tell him every day how jealous I am of the NFL schedule, but the downtime lining up has been super fun for us.
Yeah. I have like a whole list of things I want to ask you guys. And again, obviously I'm quite familiar with the tennis side of things, but one of the things on the topics is like, let's talk about the off season between tennis and football. Like it's insane.
It's a lot nicer on my side.
It's
like,
like a 6-month season and 4 months off.
And like, you guys could like take off. Like, you don't have to touch turf. And like a tennis player, if you're like off for a week, you're like, oh shoot, I can't hit a forehand.
Yeah, it goes to hell pretty quick.
Is it really good or bad?
Chill for a few weeks and come right back and snap perfectly. It irks me so much.
It is like, it's encouraged to take a solid month off at the end of the season. Maybe a month and a half. Like from the end of January till early March, you're absolutely chilling, like letting the body like fully recover. Because during the whole season, while you're like outputting at the force we do, and like the rate of force and all that type of stuff, all that science stuff, it slowly like goes down and down and down and down, and you have to build it back slowly before you can be peak for the season next year. So like I'm not even full, like I'm not 100% ready to play right now in terms of like a sports performance type situation. It's all like so OTAs we like peaked, or off-season training activities we peaked, and so right now I'm like, this week or last week and this week are a deload week, and then we'll ramp back up to camp. And so just kind of, it's all just like all the sports science people tell us when to do what and how much to do and how hard to do it.
That's crazy. I'm just looking at Angela because I'm like, I didn't play at the level that you're playing at, but I broke up with tennis at one point in my life, and I think I went 3 months without touching a racket, and that's the longest I've ever not touched a racket. And since then, which it's been over 12 years. I couldn't tell you the last time I even didn't touch a racket in a week.
Exactly. I mean, I guess there's no sports science people in tennis or something. I don't know.
Right. So I was like, do you have anyone on your team telling you when to deload?
I do. And Alex has actually been super integral to that. And, you know, obviously before the injury, he became, I joke, he's one of my coaches. I work with two already right now, and he's joined the team, but he really changed my perspective on what the tennis training schedule at least needs to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Tournament schedule, there's not much I can do about the fact that there's an event every week effectively, but tennis does have such that, you know, I need to be on court. Sometimes it's 4 hours. I've had to scale back because I've suffered a few injuries in my career, but he's helped me see the power of rest, and not just from you have to rest in order to be able to train. It's actually how, when you rest, that freshness and that, you know, this is super dorky, but like the neural fatigue. So actually what your nerves are feeling, not just necessarily how sore your muscles are, is going to affect your performance, even in training. And, you know, we say it's only the matches that matter, but you build so much confidence in practice that when you are practicing poorly, it's not just, oh, practice more, let's make it feel better. It's maybe sit down, maybe go home and leave that be today and come back tomorrow so that you can feel good when you're practicing, actually build the confidence, and then it's that much easier to translate it to matches. So his football schedule, as much as I curse it maybe twice a week, has influenced the way I work mine, and for the better, because I did notice my tennis improvement did increase when I did less, amazingly.
That's wild, but I get it.
It kind of comes from the long snapping part of, like, long snapping's odd. Nobody knows what it is. The best way to correlate it is like throwing darts. Say you're throwing darts at a dartboard and you're training to bring that zone in. And you also have to throw the dart as hard as you possibly can. So as you're throwing them, if your arm starts to get tired, that zone is going to expand back out. Mm-hmm. And if you get mad that zone expanded back out and try to start throwing more because, you know, you've gone bad, you're just going to get worse and worse and worse, and your confidence is going to tank, and your technique's going to tank because you start compensating with other muscles and blah, blah, blah. So pretty much it sounds terrible. But if I go out and I'm starting a training day and I'm snapping bad, I go home. I don't even mess with that day. I know I can snap. I know I'm good at it. And if I'm snapping bad and something's off, I'll reset, you know, neurally. I'll sleep tonight, and when I wake up, I'll be able to snap again. But I'm not going to, like, sit here and try to figure out what's wrong, because as soon as I start changing stuff that's not wrong, I totally mess up myself.
No, that makes sense. I have a conversation with a coaching friend of mine that we're always talking about, like, the outwork and, like, wanting it more. And it's such baloney, because it's like, you know, you can do it. Some days you're just fatigued. Some days it's not there. Just why would you spend another 3 hours trying to fix like something that's not there that day when you know it's there? And then on a tennis player side, those days usually spiral into self-deprecation, a fight with your coach, wanting to quit, throwing your rackets away. Yep. So
Yep.
As long as it's
Alex
not
has to hear about it for 2 hours when I come home. That's
right.
Maybe this wasn't for my tennis. This was maybe to just get me to shut up when I have a bad day and save him some
go
grief.
Home. Yeah.
I'm really sharing this for the rest of the tennis boyfriends out there. It's a nice little hack.
But you want to say it in the right way. Hun, maybe you should just let's go to the beach. Like, it's a nice day. Don't be like, it's not working today. Okay, Alex, all the questions. How did you get into tennis? How did you get into long snapping? Tell me your path here.
So I got into tennis because actually my older sister wanted a phone in middle school.
Okay.
That's what got me into tennis. The weirdest thing. So she couldn't get a phone if she didn't play a sport where she was, like, away from my parents and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So she picked up tennis, and me being the 2 years younger little brother wanted to play with her. And so we had these crappy little Walmart orange metal rackets that we played with. And, picked it up. We were both terrible forever. I picked it up a little faster, being, male and genetically more athletic and more absolutely driven to beat my sister than she was. So, I picked it up. We took lessons. She started taking it serious. She played for the middle school team. I was still in like fourth grade, and then kind of stepped it up from there and stepped it up and really upped my commitment. I started long snapping in seventh grade because I was like a center for our middle school football team. I don't know if you have middle school football here. It's kind of patched around the country, but my middle school had a football team, and I was the backup center. And being the backup center, they were like, "You're the long snapper." Okay, I'll try.
Nice.
I was terrible. I guarantee. I don't remember a lick of it. Didn't know what I was doing. Had no coach. And then basically get up through junior year of high school or sophomore year of high school doing the same thing, playing tennis decently seriously, being I was a tight end, D end at this point for the high school team. And come my junior year of football, I'm like, I got to focus on tennis full time. I want to play tennis at the college level. I got to focus up and like really start training. And what I didn't know was you can't just train tennis. You have to have a coach. You have to have a practice regimen. You have to have balls. Like, it was like I didn't have the money for it, and we didn't have the resources where I grew up. We didn't have like a good coach. And so I spent the summer, I took the football year off and really, really grinded tennis.
Wow.
And started traveling to play like junior year of high school in the 16s, maybe 16s, maybe 18s age class. Got my butt kicked. Got absolutely just destroyed everywhere I went. I went up to Atlanta, had a decent first tournament away from home, and then I played the rest of them terrible. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to college to play tennis. Like I played some dude, he didn't bother tying his shoes and beat me 0-0, and he was committed to like Brown. I was like, okay, well,
great.
He's going D3 tennis, and I'm, okay, I'll go back to football. So I went back to football and learned then, like my senior year of high school, I learned then that you could be a long snapper in college, like specifically a long snapper. Because I wasn't a good enough tight end. I was marginal at best. I had no junior film. I was out of the running for like a good tight end. So I was like, all right, we're taking that full devotion that we put into tennis, putting it into long snapping. So I stopped tennis. I found a coach in long snapping. We drove 4 hours there and back every other Sunday to Birmingham and to see a coach. And, just picked it up, learned the right way to snap. I already could throw it pretty decent, but everything was out of whack. And he kind of taught me not only like the technique and everything, but also how to be my own coach. He was probably one of the best coaches I've ever had. And so he taught me why everything does everything, what we're trying to do, like eliminating variables, all that type of stuff. And so I got better, and I was able to make myself better. So then I'd walk on at UCF, and the rest is history. I just grinded out from there.
Nice. That's cool. What a fun story. You could literally, if one thing might have changed, maybe you won a tournament that you traveled to, you might be here talking to us about more tennis than football. That's crazy.
Probably not.
I think about this all the time. Well, everyone who's ever lost 0-0. I mean, 0-0 sent him to the NFL.
I know, right? Must be nice. I know. Sometimes I'm just like, dang. Well, you both are like just talented athletes. I mean, I feel like we could pick any sport and you would pick it up and be like professional. But maybe you guys can both talk to me a little bit about the mentality differences between football and tennis, because I know, Angela, you've helped coach football, and then Alex, long snapper to me sounds like it's very specific. Like you do things a right way and there is a wrong way. Whereas I feel like with tennis, we have like a little bit of creativity, a lot of creativity on the court. Like we can kind of dictate how we're playing. So how does it differ? Is there something from one that helps you with the other?
There's a couple parallels. Like, Ange always talks about like she used to have a hitch in her backhand, or like somebody's got a hitch in their swing or a hitch in their serve.
You just told the entire world, and therefore the tour. I don't have a good backhand.
Nope. I am here to bust this myth. Okay, I podcasted with Angela a couple months ago, and all she kept saying is like, "I don't hit the ball clean. I don't hit the ball clean. I don't hit the ball clean." And I'm like, okay, this girl is like, I see what she's doing based on her rankings, her results. I go like start YouTube watching her. Finally, I get to watch her in person.
Super clean.
What is she talking about? So if she had a hitch on her backhand, or does, I don't think it's existent.
She did.
It's fixed. Okay. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
So we, in like snapping, we just call that like a variable. Or we say hitch
I like
too.
That.
But
I like variable though.
Basically, in snapping, you want the ball to travel like straight line and everything. I can get way too deep on depth on like technique and everything, but like, say somebody like starts with their elbows out like this and they're holding the ball. First thing they have to do is pull their elbow in to throw it. And like that engages lat and tricep and all that. But this right here is wasted movement, and it creates kind of momentum that way and back and kind of wobbles the ball and all that. So in just basic setup, you just want to rotate that in. And so it's like stuff like that, like eliminating the variables, making the smoothest stroke. I learned a lot from her of just like technique. I had no idea, but there's some parallels there, but it's
a little different.
It's very different sports.
Also, I've heard some stories, and I would love for you to tell it, but talk to me a little bit about draft day and what is the equivalent in tennis. I don't know if there, well, you might be able to tell us, Angela. So let's, hear it.
Draft day is probably closest to like getting picked for the Olympics, which is happening right now. Like except you only have one team in the Olympics, but it's super stressful. As a long snapper, you're not getting drafted. Like I was a 2-time All-American sitting there ready to, hopefully get drafted. And there's several teams we're talking to, and basically on draft day, all those teams dropped off. It was just the Rams left. And there were 2 snappers that were 3 snappers that were really good. And basically in all of college, 3 of us were ready to play at the pro level, and only 2 of us did.
Okay.
And so it's rough. It's brutal for a long snapper. It's brutal for a specialist in general, because so few get taken. These guys play for forever. But no, it was just an overall stressful day. You have an agent. He's calling all the teams for all of his players, and you're trying to get him on the line, but he's on the line with somebody else on the line with him, and it's just crazy. And then, I basically just sat in. UCF let me borrow the skybox in the stadium. So me and my family and a couple friends sat up there just waiting on a phone call, watching the draft. And then, teams, hardballing me. I'm hardballing teams of oh no, I got other teams on the line. You should draft me. I want this much signing bonus. And I don't have that much. I can give you this much. And I know you have more. Crazy stuff. So, it all kind of settles out, and you get some team, and you have to move them. You go start a life in sunny California.
Not a bad place.
No, it's not. Be a lot better than
I was going to say, Angela, can you maybe talk me through getting into a Grand Slam? Olympics is crazy. And congrats.
That was my fault.
Yeah, I was going to say, shout out to Des for making the Olympics. We're excited for her. But talk to me about that, because I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so my thought for draft day, tennis is unique because you don't get picked to go pro. You go pro whenever you please.
Yeah.
I think it's 14 years old is the only requirement. So another thing everyone can add to their resume, if you want to go sign up for an ITF or even a WTA profile, if you're willing to spend a couple $100, you can say you are a professional tennis player to everyone you know. But I think the closest thing to draft day I could think of was the kind of the ranking or the entry list for my first Grand Slam. And so the way that works is that, we have a login to a specific portal from the WTA. You all have a code associated with your name, and you add your name to that list. And anybody can do it. You can be ranked 1,200. You can be thrown on that list. And effectively, I don't remember what the cutoff. I think it might be the 57 highest combined teams will make that cut. So as you get near that deadline, which is 2 p.m. in Los Angeles, you are just hitting refresh, 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 refresh. And I remember I think I was in Vancouver, and I knew I was going to be close. I was going to cut it really close with my partner, Sophie Chang. And I'm just hitting refresh a million times. And I watch in the last maybe 2 minutes, we bleed about 5 spots and just fall under the cut.
Oh.
And then I had a semifinal match later that day. So I'm devastated. But I knew it was the US Open and we're both American. So we had a good look at a wild card and had performed really well that year and knew we'd be top contenders for that. So we still traveled to New York. We were on site waiting for it. Same situation. Nobody actually tells you with wild cards what time it's being released. Off previous years, we knew it's around noon. And 2 of us were on our way to the facility. I actually was in a taxi with my coach, Dave, and we got stuck in traffic. And same deal, just refreshing the USTA newsletter website until it came out. And wild cards are earned but never guaranteed. So you don't know what could come about. And that was actually, I think, the year or when Serena decided she was going to retire. So I knew that's a -1 on a slot for myself. And I will accept between Serena's goodbye and Angela Kulikov's debut. One of those might be a little bit more important. But it's that same stress I think Alex was talking about. I don't know what's going to happen. I think things are going to go my way, but things change, and seeing I think we saw it on Twitter. It was Colette Lewis who broke it. I don't know how she saw this before the players did, but that was the closest thing to, I made my dreams come true right there, because for me, there's a lot of definitions of becoming a pro or making it, and I wanted to make a Grand Slam, and so that was that phone call.
That was your draft day. But
that was my draft day.
The whole agents and the money is so different. It's just and
so different.
I was gonna bring that up. Unfortunately, I want to talk a little bit about pay gaps, and I always try to hit it home with listeners and anyone that doesn't really know tennis, maybe they watch the Grand Slams, and how the pay discrepancy, even in tennis, if you're top 10, top 20, you're making a lot of money. And if you're outside of the top 100, you're not, period. And that's wild to me. So Alex is telling us that he has 4 months off and probably has a really nice contract. And we're on the tennis side of things, grinding through to get a week off in between. You have to travel from the US down to Australia usually. And it's just on your own time. Maybe you have endorsement deals, but maybe you're just getting gear or rackets or, so I don't know if there's even a discussion there, but it's worth bringing it up.
No, for sure. I mean, I have had no income since March 29th at my last tournament. I mean, I've started coaching and doing some other things, but there's no security and no stability in tennis, because not only are you making most of your money on prize money alone, but someone is actively trying to sabotage you in that process. In the NFL, and it's funny because you can speak more to it, but when I've asked him, how are players, in the locker room after a win, after a loss, how are people just in interaction personally, or their rivalries, do people not get along? And he always tells me how much more positive the culture, I feel like, is competitively in the NFL versus, can't speak for the ATP, but the WTA. And I think a lot of that is just because everyone is comfortable and knows and respects that we're all doing great. We're we're all very, very comfortable. We're all very well compensated, and no one's out for blood. No one's, you compete as hard as you can between the whistles, and when all is said and done, you go get a nice dinner with your family after the game. Well, on the tennis tour, I can't afford dinner if I lose, so it's different.
Yeah, I mean, touching on the how is everybody in the league type thing, it's there's two parts to it. One, the talent gap between somebody that makes it and somebody that doesn't is very small. And so if you're not an insane athlete that has separated from the pack, if you're not a Christian McCaffrey, up there, you have no right to be a jerk. Because if you're a jerk, people don't like hanging out with you. Legitimately, if a coach does not see that he wants to spend 6 months every day with you, you drop down no matter what your talent level is. So they'll take somebody they want to work with or somebody they don't want to work with. And so basically, there are no jerks in the NFL. Now, there's a couple that are the insane athletes. But and then also between player to player, there's some bad blood in terms of this team, cut me, this team traded me, this, or injuries, this guy tore my ACL, I hate that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, and besides the fact you just fight people every Sunday, if you line up with one dude you see as a nameless, faceless opponent, and he's just punching you in the face, you're not gonna like that guy. But in terms of people, everybody's very amicable and like each other.
That's cool. I was listening to Roddick's podcast yesterday. I didn't love him when he was a player, but his podcasts are really fun. And he was talking about how on tour we need a little bit more respect. And he just ended the episode. He just was respect, 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 respect. And he was referencing Roger, Rafa, Djokovic, Murray, himself even. He's I used to hate Roger. He would destroy my life for 3 months at a time, but I respect the heck out of him. And it's just there's not necessary. I see it in the NFL, I think, it's there's so much respect for the other players, your teammates, to other teams, and maybe it's not necessarily. Maybe we have more respect of the top 10, top 20 on the ATP WTA, but I know it's such a grind. It's such a grind. So it's maybe we all.
I feel when you take a step back, so when you're injured or when you're retired and you're done and you look back on it, there is at least a mutual, God, this is hard. This life is so friggin' hard.
And
anyone
we're doing
who's had
it.
To do this,
yeah.
I'm with you. But when you're at the moment, both in the trenches, fighting for dinner, there's a little bit less.
On hotel rooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to more tennis chat. Alex, I want to know if you're much of a gearhead in the tennis world and what your setup is right now.
I got a pair of Rafas that Ange bought me as shoes because mine were old and worn out, and strings were breaking every time I tied them. I play with a 2013 Pro Staff 97, not the 105, and then
I like how he has to say not the 105.
He knows he'll be judged for that.
And I forget what my strings are, but they're, I think, Luxilon Alu Power Spins.
Heck yeah.
I got the power. I just need the spin to keep it in the
control. Nice.
Yes.
Angela, what are you rocking right now? Well, when you get back.
When I get back. I mean, I had just made the switch to the Yonex V-Core 100. And that was my first time playing with Yonex in my entire career. And I loved it. And
you still love it? Good.
I was having a good start to the year. But as far as Alex's 2013 setup, we tried modern rackets. I'm not being stingy here. I gave him my rackets. I have plenty of, I used the Wilson Ultra before. I used the Babolat Pure Drive before. I have plenty of friends using different ones. And he picked up all of them and thought, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And the day he went back to his old one, which I kept, the minute I saw it, I went, this one's done. This is banned. We are 10 years into the future now. He hit so well.
Cranky.
I mean, he played doubles points with me and was a problem out of nowhere. And so I can't argue that, you like what you like, and he likes the 2013 Wilson Pro Staff. That's like the hardest racket I can think of to play with, but
right? Maybe we need to set you up with a demo just to like maybe see, like, I'm thinking Pro Staff X could be a good one because now there's one with 100, but also there might be something new coming out in a couple months that you might really like. Wink, wink.
Hey, as long as it's not your baseball bat, I'm in for it.
Perfect. I feel like and then like how much, when Angela's not injured and you're not like in season, do you guys like actually play tennis a lot and practice together, or is it more like, I know you mentioned something about his serve is like really fun to practice against, but then also you can help him with snapping, but talk to me about that crossover.
Yeah, we're each other's, I feel like coaches is appropriate.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I'm not an expert in long snapping, but I'm very curious, and I've asked a million questions from the get-go and wanting to learn how to do it myself. And, so the way I help him with training is I act as the punter. So it needs to be a little bit higher on my body than our 6'4" punter right now for the Rams. But I stand out there with my hands in front, and that ball does come in fast. I will say it's a lot scarier than I thought. So I need to have gloves on. But I kind of joke it's great for my tennis because I'm up at the net with women firing 70-mile-an-hour forehands at me. So I'm a bit closer, and he's throwing a 35-mile-an-hour missile with the Duke right into my hands, but I can hold it out so he can see where it lands, and I can look for little cues if he thinks he's popping up or something, like very basic level technical instruction, but I can see it, and obviously he can't while he's doing it. So that's how I help him. And then even in season, I mean, this guy loves tennis. I mean, he loves tennis more than I do, and I probably love football more than he does. So he's chomping at the bit any chance he can get, and I'll feel bad on a weekday thinking, their in-season training hours are pretty extensive. I mean, it's a full day operation, and he'll come back and I'll be a little bit concerned I didn't get enough reps, and I'll hit with you. I'll hit you some serves or whatever. And he's got a massive serve. Like, I'm telling you, he's serving 115, 120 once he gets warm. And my return was honestly the weakest part of my game, especially in doubles for the majority of my career. And he would just come out and serve baskets for me. And he can do it. We kind of joke it's the WTA serve, where he can go no legs, abbreviated motion, and pop that thing as big as anyone on my tour is. And he'll just spend hours with me out there. And it's been fantastic for my game. And honestly, he enjoys it, because that's a tough thing, right? It's hard to train for doubles on a pro level because you don't, unless you're with other double specialists, and we have a lot of those on Team TW that happen to be in the area. You don't want to grab someone to do very specialized technical things for hours because you feel bad that you're affecting their practice. But likewise, it's a little hard for him to say, hey, well, you stand here and catch heat-seeking missiles for 45 minutes.
And she doesn't want to ask another like tennis player to like stand at the net as somebody feeds her returns like poach every now and then, but really not hit anything.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to do that. every fifth, sixth ball, I just go and try to pick one off, and I'd never get one. But
that's awesome. Alex, do you have any friends in the NFL that also play tennis that you can like be like, hey, let's go hit?
Kind of. I've been trying to tie them down. Our schedules since we stopped have been like completely intertwined. I'm here, he's gone, he's here, I'm gone.
Yeah.
But actually Cooper Kupp says he plays quite a bit with his wife.
Oh yeah.
Stafford tried to pick it up with his wife, didn't go very well. I mean, he has to preserve his body as much as possible. There's a tight end on the team, says he played. Not so sure, kind of the same way Andrew was saying, like guys will just say they played. And then our new kicker says, I mean, he played in high school, so I don't know how good he was, but he says he plays too. So we'll see. I haven't hit with any of those guys yet. But
I have a funny one too. The Puka story.
Oh yeah.
So again, it goes back to that. I forgot who did that social experiment interview with, do you think you can win a game off of Djokovic?
Yeah.
And the numbers on that were absurd. So I love to cook, and a lot of the guys end up for training camp sometimes or whatever, just kind of staying in the same hotel and the same routine. So they know I can cook and they'll come over and we'll have like team dinners basically at our place. And Puka Nakua came over one time and we start discussing tennis, and we got into this like debate, I suppose, about how many of my serves he could return. And he's never played tennis in his life. And he'd talk about, he went to University of Washington, watching the men's team and thinking, oh, I can jump out there and I can do it. And I will give the guy that his hand-eye coordination and athleticism are obviously absolutely off the charts. But if you haven't played tennis before, it might look a certain way, but tennis is hard. I mean, tennis, I think personally, is the hardest sport in the world. And so he firmly believes if I went out and gave him 10, I even said I'll give you 20 first serves, that he'll return a couple of them. So we're still going to have to make that happen at some point. So
yeah. Please
don't. And then we gave him a racket and said, how would you swing it?
Yeah.
And he just like straight opens the face like no, you're not touching it.
That's funny. I remember your team, some of your teammates were at the Alcaraz Rafa Vegas thing. So there's definitely, there's a love for tennis on the Rams squad. I was actually doing a little research trying to figure out which NFL players like have played. And I guess Tony Romo is allegedly a good player, but you know what? He's getting up there.
I heard that Drew Brees beat Andy Roddick in juniors.
There you go. I have heard that he also plays. Yes. Mm-hmm. So you never know. Also, like in 15 years, when you guys are all like, okay, we're good. Mixed doubles.
Yeah, 100%. That's closer than 15 years.
Okay, I didn't want to offend anyone.
Like 2 to 3 years.
No, we were looking at this already. There's like USTA hard court nationals and whatnot. Yes. So the thing is, with my injury, we've had to protect my ranking, and when you do that, you are not allowed to compete in any event, in any sport. Can't play golf tournaments, pickleball, anything. So I looked at it, and the dates actually lined up because this guy's got half the year off. So of course it did. And, I was about to sign us up, and then we remembered, oh no, you can't do that. You'd be sacrificing your entire professional career for the USTA hardcourt nationals. But we'll hop in there at some point for sure.
The time will come, definitely. How does your guys' schedule look lining up for fall? How many games will you get to go to, Angela, and how many matches will you get to see, Alex? Do you think that will happen?
I mean, depending on how many matches are played.
That means we need to be healthy.
We need to be healthy first. No, it's true. But it's fun for me because, I will be around a bit more, so I will get to attend quite a few games this year. Last year, it was fun figuring out how to watch each other in general. He'd always have an iPhone out watching my matches in the training room and whatnot. I had a few practices where, as a doubles player, sometimes it's hard to get court time. And the only time I could get was right during 2 p.m. in Los Angeles. So I'd have my phone laid out on changeovers with the game streaming, and I would just kind of peek over there and watch it. And actually, one of my coaches, Jake, he'd be watching. He's a huge football fan as well. And he'd be texting me updates. And then my iPhone or my Apple Watch would keep buzzing. And I finally had to tell him, look, I need you to only text me if something goes horribly wrong. So if there's like a botched snap or something there, otherwise you can't buzz me. I'm going to assume he's doing great unless my watch buzzes. But, we follow each other in that way. And then, I had a few events. The coolest thing last year, I think, was I was able to go also with Jake to Lambeau for the Rams-Packers game. And,
wow.
As both of us being huge football fans, that's a very iconic stadium. And I happened to be playing a tournament in Midland, Michigan. So I finished up there. We drove through the night, basically, to get to Green Bay. And we got to be there for that one, which was super cool. And, hopefully this year there won't be too many challenges to me attending that require driving through the night, but I'll be at as many games as I can be at.
I love that. How would you describe the other as an athlete? I kind of have like a good idea of like Angela's athleticism and how she like operates as an athlete, but I am curious to hear Alex describe you, and Angela, you describe Alex.
Ange is tremendously talented and coordinated. lightning fast reflexes, absolutely dominant competitor. Can't beat her in anything besides chess. And then ruthless, smart. I mean, whatever. Y'all know.
Thank you.
She's a stud.
I mean, Alex is. We're both technical dorks. We love geeking out on analyzing the snap or any stroke in tennis together.
Mm-hmm.
But he's such a maestro at it. I mean, I'll give him a hard time that I have 8, I don't even know how many strokes to master, and he's got 2. He's got a punt snap and a field goal snap, but his brain and his mindset and his approach to how he does it being just so logical and analytical and uninhibited by any concern over the moment, what the score is, how big the game is, how big the moment is. It's just, this is my operation and this is my execution. I mean, he's kind of a robot about it, and he transfers that into everything he does. And it's great because we understand each other in that sense. But when he's doing absolutely anything, we were just talking about this the other day, he's not upset at the score or how he's doing necessarily. It is simply his performance. And it's why he's so elite at what he does, but in recreational settings. So we just went on vacation to Cabo last week, and he's absolutely losing his mind playing against like the activities director at the Marquise Hotel in ping pong, not because of the score, but because he couldn't make the right adjustment with this, cheap paddle and the ball kept sailing on him. Or when he's golfing, he can be shooting fine, but if he misses 3 in a row the same way, he absolutely loses it. And it's the funniest thing to me because everyone thinks they're kind of having fun or that he's getting super mad. And I'm like, no, he's actually really enjoying himself. And this is how he expresses that. But that's the biggest thing for me for me describing him as an athlete stems more from the way his mind works than the way his hands do, which obviously if you are in the NFL performing a skill like that with giant athletic men trying to hit you in the face as soon as you release the ball, you're a good athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a given.
Well, that sounds like at your heart of hearts, you might be a tennis player, just saying.
He would. He would have been fantastic. If I could adopt his mindset, I'll make my way up there too.
I have so many questions for you guys, but I'm trying to wrap it up. What about any post-game loss situations or post-match losses? Are you guys talking to each other, celebrating with each other? Are you give me an hour, I'll talk to you in an hour? I know both of you have different, sometimes on WTA you have to do press and your cool down, and I'm sure on the NFL you really have to do a cool down, and it's probably a little bit different, but what does that look like?
You want me to go?
Go for it. Mm-hmm. He's getting a massage, then he's getting sushi.
No, first of all, there's no cool down. Nobody in the NFL is going to sit down and stretch after a game.
Okay.
That's what Monday's for. You go straight home, you show up on Monday, do a light lift, and basically just complain about your soreness. Then, talking to her post-match, after a loss, I ask how her partner played. If she says her partner played good, I know she's upset. If her partner played bad, she's still upset, but she's not as mad at herself. So, it's kind of just
That's funny.
Kind of poke the bear, dance around. Is she mad? Okay, she's mad. I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, he's a lot easier. I think my favorite thing that comes to mind when people ask me this is the Rams had a tough loss to the Ravens last year, and there was kind of just play sort of went wrong off of a punt in overtime, and Alex kind of had to look at this guy at the end, so it's one of those where
it was a punt. We punted down to him. He caught it, shook 3 guys. There was a block in the back, so it shouldn't have been a touchdown. But he came running around the sideline, squeaked by some guys, and I had him a yard from the sideline. And he opened his shoulder, and I flew right past, and he ran for a touchdown.
He didn't remember it at all. That gives me tennis vibes. Yeah.
The Rams-Ravens fans will remember, but I'm sitting there watching this and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to be devastated. He's going to think this is like on him, that he blew this for everyone. And I had never had a concern texting him after a game. If anything, I'm just immediately, are you good? Like, are you healthy? Because, he does get hit a lot and I worry about that the entirety of the game. But this was the first time I went, oh boy, I need to craft this text correctly. I don't know how he's doing. And I send like, how you doing there? And the response was that there was a mutual friend of ours that I haven't met in person yet. And he met him first. And the reply was like, haha, I met him before you did. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of, I'm going to talk him off a cliff. And he's fine. He had moved on to like, same deal. I executed, I operated to the best that I could. Next week,
goldfish, like a goldfish.
Dream mentality, right?
I know,
there.
That's awesome.
He's easy. He's very easy.
Who gets recognized more in public?
Depends where we are, but him.
People kind of ask, like, you're a big dude. Are you like some athlete? And I'm like, no.
I play tennis.
Exactly. I've said that several times.
Yeah, he does. He does like to use that line.
Oh, that's
It's hilarious. They see, 6'4", 240 dude, and they're like, what do you play?
Yeah.
Oh, tennis. And the look that they give after is so funny. It's not the same look when I try it. When I try to say I play football, it's a slightly different.
I have like two questions. One comes from our friend Mike Roberts in our video department, who absolutely is probably the biggest Rams fan in this building. And he gave me this one, and I don't even feel comfortable asking it, but I'm going to. Who's the bigger GOAT, Tom Brady or Roger Federer?
Ooh.
Oh, I was like, hands down, that's an easy one, but I'm glad you guys both reacted that way.
Well, there's variables here, right? Because one is operating on a global scale.
Yes.
And I will give crap to the NFL using the term world champions to a sport played in one country.
Who could beat us though? Who could beat us though?
Okay, but who's actually even signing up for the event?
Those are facts.
But I would say in terms of global scale, Fed is more iconic. But in terms of like absolute domination, being the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Because like Federer's even in a conversation for greatest of all time. Like there's the big three and there's the old guys, all that type of stuff. There's no competing with Tom Brady with 7 Super Bowl rings with 2 different teams. Like the way he performed, competed, and built cultures around himself on both teams to perform and compete at the highest level from every guy across the board, every coach, probably every athletic trainer and nutritionist and whatnot, all had to be on their P's and Q's when Tom Brady was around. So in terms of I'd say Tom Brady.
I'd agree.
That's awesome. I'm glad I asked. That was a good answer. And then I was just going to close out. Angela, you were talking a little bit last time about a female NFL, I guess it's not called NFL, sorry, Female Football Association. Has anything come to fruition? Are we working on that anymore or no?
We are. The ankle isn't going to fly
without the injuries.
I was accepted or invited off of, they did a virtual combine. It was hilarious. You filmed yourself basically doing a bunch of combine, 40-yard dash and push-ups and squats and whatnot, and, gave your athletic resume. And they invited me to the in-person tryouts for the U.S. women's flag national team, which will ultimately end up being the Olympic team in 2028 here in Los Angeles. And that weekend for those tryouts happened to line up with a tournament because, of course, it did. It was the Austin 250. And I tried to explain to them the situation. I don't know my schedule. I'm in a sport where I'd like to be playing on Friday, Saturday, but more than likely I'm not. But could you hold my spot? And at worst, I'm going to miss one day. And, I promise you I'll be worth your time. And they said, unfortunately, to make it fair for everybody, and because they only had limited spots, you have to attend all 3 days. So I had to decline this year. But, as we get closer to 2028, I mean, it's absolutely circled on my calendar.
Yes.
I mean, being an Olympian, I think, is the highest honor you can achieve in sport. And I've been lucky enough that now I have 2 opportunities in 2 sports.
That's awesome.
Maybe make that happen. But yeah, as we get closer to 28, I'll take that a bit more seriously or give it more priority than I have now. But I still sling the rock in the meantime. My younger brother just went off to start playing college football, so I go work out with him. He's my coach in a way, and Alex is my coach in football as well. So I'm still training in the background for that opportunity when it's time.
Awesome. You guys are so great. If you can just leave like a little message to any young athlete that might be listening to this, especially with such diverse backgrounds, like athletically, you guys came through different paths, just like a little like mirror message maybe for someone listening, what would it be?
Mine would be, I found a niche, found a groove, and really, really rode it. Like, despite the flattery, I am not that good of an athlete. But I'm absolutely, I think, one of the best probably in the world at technical analysis certainly of myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I really ride that hard of, that's why I get so mad at myself playing everything, because I know exactly what I'm doing wrong and I can't do it right. And even though I want to, blah, blah. But just a younger athlete, I just say have fun and get better, smarter.
Love it.
I'm with that. Yeah, I think for me, and it's the same thing I'd say to myself early on, and probably every high-level athlete says early on, is just develop. I mean, there's so much fixation on results and, comparing how you're doing to the trajectory of someone else. And, this person won 12's Orange Bowl or won this and this. And that means if I do the same, that I'm going to follow that line. And you're not. I mean, tennis is so complex, so multifaceted that it takes so many years to get good, and everyone's timeline is different. But if the focus is just becoming the best you can at getting better, you can guarantee you are on the right path. If the focus is on, I need to win this title, you have no idea. People win in juniors, lose in college. People lose in juniors, win in college. Everyone's looks different. But if you are getting better every single day, you give yourself a good shot. And a lot of that too is making sure you're enjoying it, because you can also go too far in that direction. I've spent a lot of my career obsessing over that as well, and it's easy to flame out. So get better every day. Make sure you find ways to enjoy it every day and stay with it.
Yeah,
awesome.
And I say play all the sports.
Yeah.
Do them all, because I really wish I played basketball and had better feet to hand coordination. I don't. Play all the sports.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you guys are slowly getting all the sports under your belt. We're working on golf. Who knows what's next? I appreciate you guys both taking time out of your busy schedule. I know, Alex, you've got practice to go to, and I am going to send you some demos. We're going to get you dialed in. I know this is a bad time of the season. Probably you're ramping up. Wishing you guys both the best of luck in training camp, best of luck, and as you come out of your injury and kick some butt on tour. And you guys are awesome. I'm going to add your Instagram so everyone can follow along with your adventures. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Yay! You guys are awesome.